help for minor injuries or illnesses, and they can also take their dependents, and we actually somewhat kind of saved the life of one of our employees by the clinic being open, not the employee, but the child itself. So it comes in handy. I just don't think we're probably breaking even if anything, but we're saving some in the long run.
Well, I think it's a good thing. I'm not saying that, no, I just wondered how it broke down, but that's fine, yes, okay.
The next self-insurance fund is our workers' compensation fund. Again, the fund balance reserve, we're at nearly $600,000 in that fund. Last year we had 32 workers' comp cases and paid out just over $350,000 in claims. And property and liability, fund balance reserve, again, $565,000. And last year we had 24 claims at a price tag of just over $165,000. The engineering group, Jim's focus is on where he's utilizing most of his staff, and they have a lot of stats on here about the number of plan reviews for various different types of review that are required. And they break those down into efficiency measures of the man hours per type of plan review. And this is a big help to him so he can see where his resources are being used. The street division, we've included as an input the street miles. We have 170 miles of streets throughout the city. We've resurfaced 2.24 in FY15, and we did have the history there, 2.4 and 13, 1.99 in FY14, and then 2.24 in FY15. All of those are below the target. If you look at the top right-hand corner graph, that black line going across is actually the target that we'd like to hit for resurfacing. We're falling short, and we also give some different stats there. The percent of the priority streets that were resurfaced recommended by the cycle was 77%. The percent of the local streets, we're only hitting 15%, and then the percent that we were doing in-house was 34%. Code enforcement. It was interesting to see the number of inspections and cases. Had almost 1,700 inspections, 1,100 total cases. So it's an average of 2.3 inspections per officer per day, and an average of 1.6 cases per day. Of course, every case is different. Some of them take longer than others. It's just an average, but we have a pie chart there that show the types of cases that they work on. A lot of parking in unapproved areas, public health nuisances, and then minimum housing is a small piece of what they do.
What's the dreaded other?
Lots of different things. There's quite a few things in that category.
30%.
Yeah, Mary Lou, do you remember what else was in that category? Lisa?
It's just tough.
Yes, solve the question.
You're right. Had a girl. She's smart.
Do we know what part of town, what part of the city that most of these focus on or anything?
No, we have no way to collect that. Yeah, there's a lot of things that we wish we had the ability to capture, and at this time I don't think we're able to capture that. That would be interesting though.
We could, if that's something the council desires, I can have our GIS people develop a map for you of where the cases have been over maybe color code each year or something like that. Because we can pull the data from our HP system.
That would be a good idea.
Building inspections. This one was very handy. We needed to evaluate if we were within one of the new state laws is that you can't earn more building permit revenue than what it costs you to operate your building permit department. So in other words, you can't subsidize your general fund with your revenue. So we took a look at this slide and we said, oh, well, let's add, the fee revenue to this slide, and we can show our cost recovery, which is 83%, and show that we're in compliance with that new law. And then we also have listed the types of inspections that they do, the pie chart on the right to show building, electrical. It's pretty evenly spaced out. Permit center, the number of permits issued was over 3,700. We've got some dollar amounts there of those permits. I found the dollar value of permits for new construction interesting, over 21.5 million. And then we broke down in the pie on the right where that 21.5 million fell. So just over 9 million was in single family dwellings. 5.2 million was in industry, 2.7 million in businesses, and then the rest was scattered around between townhouses, institutions, looks like assembly, maybe a church, and modular mobile homes. Police department. The stuff shaded in pink looks a lot less. All of their stats are reported on a calendar year. Since it was not available for the calendar year of 2015, the ones in pink are only through June 30th, so that's why they look a little bit out of line there. But the effectiveness measures, we have 5 violent crimes reported per 1,000 people in our population, and 60 property crimes reported per 1,000 people in our population on the average. Fire department, they have used effectiveness measures to report various response times. They have different times, different goals of different times for different types of calls, structural as opposed to medical, suburban as opposed to rural. And as you scan through those, they're meeting their goals in every category. And then we also have listed their ISO rating, 3, which helps people with their insurance premiums. IT, we have the number of PCs supported throughout the city, 472. I thought that was a lot. So wow, and the number of service tickets completed to support all of those PCs, nearly 3,900. And the average time spent on each ticket is about 1 hour and 15 minutes. I like the Parks and Recreation, this Recreation Center chart down under the efficiency. What we tried to do was evaluate the operating cost recoveries for each one of our centers, and we've listed those percentages down there. And then we can see how, whatever fees we charge are offsetting the actual expenditure costs that we're incurring. Park maintenance. The thing that struck me as interesting on this slide is the efficiency measures. The actual cost per acre of mowing a park is $12, while mowing the right-of-way is over $28, and mowing Highway 74 is $72. It's interesting to see those differences. However, the mowing on Highway 74, we do have a cost recovery agreement with NCDOT, so we get 83% of that cost back at this time. The golf course. We show the rounds of golf sold. You can see how that's increased over the past 3 years. We're at over 32,000 rounds of golf. That's a lot of golf. And I also like the operating cost recovery for the golf course, we're at 81.7%. The Monroe Country Club, the ballroom rentals, I like the operating cost recovery on this one as well. We're at 72.8%. In 2015, though, we were able to capture the actual discount amounts that we granted on different rentals. And if we did not discount them, we would have made over 100% operating cost recovery. So that was interesting. The Aquatics and Fitness Center. Total membership packages were at a little over 6,400, and they've remained fairly consistent over the last 3 years. Total members visits, 487,000. It's a lot of visits, and the cost recovery there is at 108%. And when we looked at the cost recovery for the other years, since it was a little below 100%, it wasn't that they weren't making enough money. They were using some of their fund balance reserves to do some maintenance projects there at the center. And we've listed their fund balance reserves on their slide as well. Downtown Monroe, MSD taxes, we're collecting about $57,000 a year now, and the percent of the operating expenditures for that downtown Monroe group is only, that's covered by the MSD tax, is only at 15.9%. And then we also show some stats there about the new investment, public and private. Economic development, great slide. Shows the dollar capital investment in millions, and then the jobs created and the average wage for these jobs that were created. It'd be great when we can, build more of that history and see that over time as well. Let's see. A lot of the other measurements in like the utility funds are more gauges for the department heads to use to know whether they're efficient or where they're using their resources. I'm just going to hit a couple of highlights. I think one real great one is energy services and their number of outages. It's on page 34. They had 140 outages in 2015 with 3,500 customers affected. I thought it was interesting to see the electrical outages by cause in the little graph on the right-hand side. 41% due to failures, 29% due to wildlife. Like, wow, squirrels. Weather, 5%, and accidents, 7%. On the next page, the airport operations, I like the percent of operating cost recovery, 85.5%. That doesn't include the debt service. On the next page, natural gas. As you know, they're still expanding the natural gas system. They installed 197 new connections in FY15, and then they've also got some great stats and goals on there for emergency response to leaks and different situations, and how fast they can make a situation safe.
Hey Don, when natural gas is at the lower level, does that help you on profit, or does it make a difference?
Rather than, we pass on the cost of gas, so our profits are still based on the amount of gas we can sell. So cold weather helps that.
And the last slide is solid waste. I like the number of customer complaints that were handled, just almost 3,600, but the most frequent complaint was cart repair, people calling in to get their cart repaired, and their cost recovery for solid waste was also at 104%, which is great. That's perfect. But we plan to use these, during the budget process to aid in making decisions. Of course, we can't measure everything, but we're going to keep working to add more and more items. And if there are different things that are of interest that you think would be useful, let me know. And we'll do what we can, work with IT or with the using department to see if we can make it happen. Any other questions?
When will we see the real numbers for the police department?
Brian, do you know when the 2015 stats will come out for?
End of the year. We've got to run them on calendar year, so we're halfway through. Obviously, this year, we'll see all of our numbers at the end of the year. And so December 30th just ended, so it'll probably take 4 more weeks to get all the numbers in from the state.
Because that'll help a lot, and put a lot of things a lot more into perspective. Just, yeah, than just the numbers of June 30th. So.
Yeah, and once we get those numbers, we can redistribute that page.
Thank you, appreciate it.